I'm going to introduce our esteemed guest speaker. Dr. Gloria McNeil has served as an academician, project director, assistant dean, associate dean, and founding dean for public, private, and Ivy League institutions of higher learning over the past nearly 40 years. She is the recipient of significant extramural funding totaling over $16 million, having been continuously funded for the past 23 years. She recently served as the PI for the HRSA Simulation Education Training Grant, a highly competitive grant initially awarded to only 5 nursing programs nationwide. With this funding, she is leading the effort to train faculty and students in the utilization of immersive technologies to engage students in the management of unstable clinical conditions manifested by simulated patients within virtual reality environments. She has authored over 180 articles, abstracts, books, book chapters, and editorials, and has served as editor or associate editor for peer-reviewed nursing journalists. She obtained her BSN at the Villanova University Fitzpatrick College of Nursing, and MSN and PhD at the University of Pennsylvania School of Nursing and Graduate School of Education, respectively. Her PhD was awarded with meritorious distinction and investigated the scholarly production of a minority nurse academicians. She sits on the board of the Association of Black Nursing Faculty, Inc., ABNF, and has chaired the ABNF Public Policy Committee since 2005. Her current research work focuses on improving access to care for underserved communities, for which she recently received the Edge Runner Model of Care Award, presented by the American Academy of Nursing, the highest honor bestowed by the Academy. Most recently, she was named a recipient of the prestigious Pioneering Spirit Award conferred by the American Association of Critical Care Nurses for her innovative design of mobile nurse-led clinic operations, managing the care and underserved patients residing in the cities of Philadelphia, Newark, Los Angeles, and San Diego. She is a former RWJF Executive Nurse Fellow and former officer of the U.S. Navy Nurse Corps, earning 3 promotions and 2 medals of commendation. Without further ado, thank you, Dr. McNeil, for joining us this evening.
Well, thank you, Ms. Land, and thank you, Dr. Eagleston. And I really thought I sent you maybe just 4 or 5 sentences. So no wonder I'm so tired, right? All right. So everyone, thank you so much for joining me today in this discussion of the future of nursing, and especially healthcare education using immersive technologies. So give me a moment to pull up my slides here. And we've been doing this work since like 2015. And some of you are on the call now who assisted in that effort. Sorry for screen sharing. All right, so I'm titling this The Simulated Virtual Healthcare System Model, an Interprofessional Education Project, because I want to share with you what we have been doing to bring IPE into the fore. So I'm sure you've heard from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, the Pew Foundation, and others that we train our health education students in vacuums. They're in medical schools, nursing schools, social work schools, physical therapy schools, etc. And they never meet until after they graduate. at which point they're expected to perform as members of interprofessional teams. So it is incumbent upon education to make a difference in that model. So I'm going to be describing today an overview of an 8-week simulation seminar series, Interprofessional Education Training, and then to list the 6 sectors of the SVHSL model and discuss the future of augmented reality and virtual reality technologies in the field of healthcare. So the simulated model that you see here on the right, we designed because many of our students in their naivete would make statements like, oh, everybody in the United States should have health insurance. And they did not understand the complexities of the healthcare delivery system in the United States. So we tried to take a stab at helping them to understand it better. So these 6 sectors, the tertiary care sector, business management, health systems engineering, community-based care, population-based health, regulatory and political sectors, were designed to help students understand more fully how healthcare is delivered in this country. And we put the patient, the families, and the communities at the center of this system, surrounded by healthcare administration, interprofessional healthcare providers, and information systems. And to the left, we pay particular attention to how students are being educated, and upon graduation to the right, able to contribute to improving healthcare outcomes in this country. So when you have a team such as this, you have to recognize the contributions of everybody who has played a role since 2015 on this initiative. So I want to thank Dr. Finney, Dr. Ranke, Dr. Parker, Dr. Brownell, Professor Richmond, Ms. Hernandez, Professor McCarthy, Professor Durham, Dr. Koja, Dr. Drummond, Professor Rio, Mr. Escovias, Dr. Sugar, Dr. Yukatui, Professor Ironfar, Dr. Myers, Dr. Smith, Dr. Jones, Dr. Harper, Dr. Gurkey, Dr. Otibi, Dr. Panetta, Dr. Reeves, and Dr. McHugh. Each one of these faculty and staff represent a discipline. The 8 disciplines who have been with us since the beginning include allied health, MPH, MHA, MSHA, health informatics, clinical lab science, nursing, both undergraduate and graduate, integrative health, and data analytics. So this is a partial description of all of our students who have participated since the beginning. And you see that mostly represented are nursing at the undergraduate and graduate levels, but that's followed up closely by healthcare administration and the master's in public health. So through the 3 departments within the School of Health Professions, healthcare leadership, nursing, and health services, we take these students on a journey. First, giving them some didactic information, and then simulated component, and then moving into the clinical aspect of the delivery of care from an interprofessional education perspective. So this 8-week course meets the course level objectives for an internship, a preceptorship, a community health course, etc. And over the 8 weeks, we talk about team roles and function, the cost and experience of care, population health, community engagement, motivational interviewing, disaster preparedness, race and gender, and cultural diversity. That very last class, the students present a grant proposal that they have been developing over the course of these 8 weeks, culminating at this last session. These grant proposals are to be of the quality that they can actually be submitted for funding, and several of our students have actually done that, and one of our students really made it all the way to the finalist stage. In addition, they're to develop a poster, also professionally designed, to be submitted to a professional conference. And several of our students have sent and had their posters accepted at the American Public Health Association and other national nursing conferences. So with grant funding, through the federal government entitled Interprofessional Collaborative Practice. From 2015 to 2019, 147 students participated as members of 10 cohorts. And as you can see, most of the students are female and Caucasian, but we also had representation among Black, Hispanic, and Asian students. With further funding in 2020, we are currently running the program. Our cohort 13 just started a couple of weeks ago. But when we look at the total number of students in this new grant of 271 plus the 24 who are in cohort 13 plus the 147, you're looking at 440 plus students who have completed this experience. We've asked the students at the end of the 8 weeks to evaluate the sessions. And so we looked at the level of satisfaction with regard to the course content that I reviewed earlier. And on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being very dissatisfied, 5 being extremely satisfied, they scored us at 4.0 and above. And the same happened when we asked them about their level of satisfaction as members of teams and engaged in team works. On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being very poor experience, 5 being a great experience, they rated us at 4.0 and above. We've published this work in a number of journals. This is our most recent, the Association of Black Nursing Faculty Foundation Journal in April of 2023. All right, so what is it that we're discussing? Augmented reality and virtual reality are newer immersive technologies that are coming into fore in the academic arena. What you're looking at here is Promise Heights. This is an E-module designed by Lippincott, and this is a schematic diagram of that neighborhood. So there are landmarks like hospitals, churches, etc., and then there are people by name. We asked the students to engage with this community. So there's some 24 people and about 30, 35 businesses and operations. This is a low-income community. Using your up and down arrow keys, you can walk around this neighborhood and meet the people who reside there. If you click on the little bubble above the person, the star will tell you about the building the person is sitting in front of. And the bubble that has the face of 2 people will tell you about the individual. So this is Mr. Jared Brown, and he is interactive. This is, a dead screen, but when you're in the environment, he's moving around, he's looking at you, etc. And he is an alcoholic, and sitting beside him is a bag of alcoholic beverages. And he will consume everything in the bag until he finished, and then he will go home. The reason he does this is because his wife has made it clear that he's not to bring alcoholic beverages into the house. He's sitting in front of a liquor store. Next to him is a young lady who dropped out of school to become a model. Well, obviously her goals did not pan out. And so currently she is the receptionist for a tattoo parlor, and she's standing in front of a parlor. What the students will come to understand is that this community has no supermarket. It has a clinic that is overrun. It has a hospital that can't manage all of the care of its patients, right? It has pawn shops, liquor stores, fast food stores, etc. And the health of the individuals who reside here is poor. So the students have to come up with strategies for how they would improve the healthcare outcomes of the individuals that they meet. The Lippincott module also has a disaster assessment and response module where the students have to triage 25 patients who were on a bus that collided with a train. Now, as they are triaging the individuals, they have to tag them and they have to identify whether their injuries are minor or severe. And over the patient is a little bubble here. that will give you his background, his injuries, vital signs, and any healthcare information that you need. This particular patient that you see lying on the ground has no vital signs, and he is not moving, and he is totally unresponsive. He will have to be tagged as deceased. However, he's lying on a live electric wire. So the students have to understand what services they will have to mobilize. First of all, that power needs to be cut for this wire. And as they walk around triaging the other 24 people, they have to determine who's going to need immediate care and who can wait. At the end of this experience, there is a quiz. And so this is measuring and monitoring their ability to work with these individuals. Now, this is pretty dynamic because some of the patients that they're going to tag as relatively minor injury is going to change. And they're going to have to go back and reassess that individual and make different arrangements. So it's kind of dynamic. Now, with augmented reality, this is screen-based. You do not need headsets, and you can just use your up and down arrow keys. And in the real environment, there's a lot of sound, sirens, people talking, etc., so that it makes it as real as we can using that 2D model. When you get into virtual reality, it's a different story. This is a pretty immersive experience. And so you do have to wear goggles to be immersed in the environment. So with the grant, most recent grant funding, we're able to give nursing students who meet the criteria $10,000 a year to engage in this experience. So here are our two students. In a moment, I'm going to let you see how they are interfacing with this patient. Stephanie and Jessica. This patient has just returned from the operating room and is in pain. Over Stephanie's shoulder is the electronic health record. This is the medication cart. On the other side of the room, which you'll see better, is the blood pressure cuff and things like that. So Stephanie and Jessica will be interfacing with this patient and attempting to manage her pain as they move forward. Now, Stephanie and Jessica live at opposite ends of the state of California. One is in Fresno, one is in San Diego. I am in Lancaster. And so we are hundreds of miles apart from each other. However, once we put the goggles on, we step into this immersive environment where I am close to them, I am touching them, they are touching me. We are sharing instruments. I'm talking to them, they are talking to me as well. So let's see what that looks like. And then there is a little bit of a glitch in sound. So you will hear the two students very clearly. You won't be able to understand what the patient is saying. The patient will be speaking in her own voice. But I think you'll be able to surmise what the patient asks of the students and the student's response. So, Ms. Land, can you let me know if you can hear this?
Okay. And how would you rate that pain on a scale of 0 to 10?
Can you hear that, Ms. Land?
I
We can hear. We
can.
can hear.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Okay. And how would you rate that pain on a scale of 0 to 10? Okay. And based on your doctor's orders, we are able to give you medication for that. You're very welcome. Let's see, for greater than 7, we're going to give you 10 milligrams. So if you, first, I'm going to go ahead and get your blood pressure. And if you'll go ahead and do the blood pressure for me.
Hi, Mrs. Jones. My name is Jessica, and I'm going to be assisting Stephanie today. I'm going to go ahead and take your blood pressure. Okay.
Yes,
So-
ma'am. that's emulating after the surgery. Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Okay, so this is gonna take your blood pressure. You're gonna have a little squeeze here in your arm. Just stay still. All right. So Stephanie, blood pressure is 150 over 90.
Thank you very
And
much.
pulse rate is 110.
Thank you very much. I'm just gonna take your
Go
pulse.
ahead and remove the cuff from you.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give you some of the medication that we are allowed to give you. That was 10 milligrams of hydrocodone in the cup. So I'm going to go ahead and have you sit up for this. Thank you, ma'am. There's that. And then we will continue on with the assessment. Thank you. Right back gently. And I'm going to check your respiration. 96 and 108. So good. Your blood pressure, your heart rate is going down. I'm going to listen to your heart and lungs now. You just breathe normally. Thank you. I am showing that your lungs are clear and your heart sounds good. And I'm going to take a look at your eyes really quickly. If you'll just keep your looking right at my nose within normal limits, that's perfect. Medication, blood pressure. Is there anything else I can do for you today? At this moment. We want to go ahead and keep ahead of that. So we will be checking on you every 2 to 4 hours to see how that pain is going. And helping you ambulate to the restroom as well. So make sure that the call light will be placed if the call light is next to her hand.
Okay, so I'm wearing my goggles and I'm listening to the heart sounds, the lung sounds, and I'm hearing exactly what the student is hearing as she's making these assessments. Now, because of the bandwidth, all of the students cannot be in that environment at the same time as participants. So we have 32 students who are accessing or entering the environment at the same time. And so we have multiple clinical scenarios going on simultaneously. So the students who are just watching are observing the things that the student is doing correctly versus what might need some improvement. And they all get a turn. And the patients are varying patients. So they could be pediatrics, neonatal patients, obstetrics, mentally ill patients, hypertension, diabetes, and various levels of complexity. So UBSIM is a company that we use to engage the students in this way. And they are a company out of Canada and the only company that specializes in designing clinical scenarios for nursing. And so UBSIM is growing by leaps and bounds. I anticipate that soon it will have AI as the mechanism by which the students will be talking with the patients. And just to bring you up to speed with where they are now, there's a little short clip. Okay, so as you can see, UBSIM is moving right along here and attempting to get better and better all the time. Now, as a faculty member, I have to assess the student's performance, and I will use myself as an example. When I was in nursing school, for 15 weeks, I was assigned to obstetrics, and we met on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 to 5. In the course of the 15 weeks, I saw exactly 2 deliveries, and both of them were normal. Now, on my transcript, it indicates that I passed obstetrics, but had I graduated and been assigned to an obstetric ward, I would have fallen on my face because I was never exposed to any kind of maternal infant, disaster. And I did not know how to manage anything that was abnormal. In these simulated experiences, we can expose the student to every possible eventuality, and we can allow them to practice over and over and over again until they get it right. We are borrowing this technology from the aviation industry, which for years, decades, will not allow a pilot to sit in a cockpit until after he's had thousands of hours of simulation, simulating a fire aboard the plane or sudden vertical deployment, thousands of miles an hour, right? So here it's a similar thing here. Why don't we expose our students to every possible eventuality in a simulated environment so that they're ready when they graduate to hit the ground running? So this is what it looks like when I'm grading them. So here we have Stephanie, and here's Mariella. And I can see that Mariella has put the patient in a Fowler's position, and Stephanie has a stethoscope listening to lung sounds, heart sounds. There is some clinical data that they have collected that's concerning. The patient's blood pressure is elevated and the oxygen level is low. Now over here, and this log starts the moment the student enters the patient's room. Everything in the blue box is indicating what the student is doing as they're moving through and doing correctly. Now below is the checklist, and I, as the facilitator, will be checking off whether the student has introduced himself or herself correctly, engaged in hand hygiene, is telling the patient the reason for the intervention, and is using therapeutic communication techniques. So this will go on for about 20 minutes or so, at the end of which this checklist creates a score. And it's up to the faculty to determine what's a passing score or not. But the students have been exposed to this clinical scenario prior to the testing situation. So they've been able to practice again and again and again until they get it right. Now, as a facilitator, I am the voice for the patient. I'm also the voice for a family member who might be in the room, or the voice for the physician that the students have to call in order to get additional orders. So UBSIM is the company of choice for us because these things are very expensive, and we were looking for something that was affordable. Why are we doing this? I'm about to share with you a short quip of what Australia is doing in moving its patients out of the hospital and into the home environment. And you may have heard the term hospital in the home. One of the things that this technology is enabling us to do is to manage the care of patients remotely and to manage the care of patients with acute and chronic illness remotely. It's a much more affordable model. So the enhanced medical mixed reality models is what you're going to see right now. And we want to ensure that when our students graduate, they're going to be able to step up to the plate, understand this technology, and be able to use it wherever and whenever it presents.
At Silverchain, our vision is to deliver the world's best health and aged care in people's homes so they can live their whole lives as they choose. We know that Australia's demand for healthcare is increasing, partly because of an ageing population, but also because of the increased number of things we can do in hospitals. And our research shows that about 30% of people in Australian public hospitals today don't need to be there. And we know we can deliver them really high quality care at home. Now, this will not only increase the safety, increase the convenience, and be what people prefer, but it will relieve the pressure on our public hospital system for people who really do need that level of care. Our new technologies allow nurses who are on a day-to-day basis responding to clients in our home to be able to have really good access to the data, be able to have their hands free while they're reading data, but also importantly consult with a doctor and have the doctor see what the nurse is seeing and the data at the same time as giving the nurse advice about how to treat the patients. This significantly increases the capacity of the nurse to practice at the top of her profession, and it gives the doctors an incredibly efficient way of being in many places at once. Enhanced medical mixed reality, or EMO as we call it, creates a hologram of a doctor. So the experience is a doctor's really personally in your home, talking to you, in dialogue with you, looking at you and consulting with you about your healthcare. So the experience is a doctor has come to your home and visited you. We think this is going to meet the demand for increasing healthcare for our community in a way that's not only less expensive, but is much closer to what people want and takes the pressure off our hospitals for the future. It's part of our vision for a new generation of healthcare for Australia, and it's coming soon.
Okay, so what are we doing in the clinical environment to prepare our students for this new technology? In the upper right-hand corner, you see a HoloLens, and we in the anesthesia program within the Department of Nursing have actually purchased HoloLens for the anesthesia students. Right now, the HoloLens is designed to help students have a better understanding of anatomy and physiology and so on, but I do think it's going to expand beyond that. It is an expensive bit of headset that the students need to purchase or that the university purchases for them at this point in time. But it gives them a realistic view of the heart. And remember, in medical school and that we use cadavers for a long, long time. This is enabling us to really understand human anatomy and physiology without using cadavers. In the bottom right corner is a gentleman who's sitting in front of a whiteboard. And over to the right of this picture is what looks like a closet. And it is the exact image of that patient. So the patient might be hundreds, thousands of miles away from the doctor's office, but the doctor can talk to the patient as if they're in the same room. The patient can get up and walk, can talk, so the doctor is able to assess mobility, cognitive functioning, and so on. This is called Dr. Hologram. It was designed by Dr. David Nussbaum in Los Angeles in 2019, and I anticipate that its usage is going to increase exponentially. GigXR is also an immersive technology used to train healthcare professional students. And so you see this student in the background here with goggles is going to walk into this room and manage the care of this patient. And we can change that patient into anything we want. We want it to be a pediatric case, an obstetric case, a psychiatric case, etc. We can make that happen. So the blue screen back here is the electronic health record. This is the crash cart in red. And then over to the far right is where typically there would be the blood pressure, cough, thermometer, etc. For the student to use. Now, Labster. So UBSIM and Labster merged about 18 months ago. And Labster is the world's leading platform for virtual labs and science simulations. So in universities that, in the past, you had to have a micro lab, a chemistry lab, anatomy and physiology lab, and everything that costs to maintain has been obviated using this simulated approach. So it's my understanding that the UC system and the CSU systems have purchased Labster for all of their student learning in the sciences, all of the required courses that one has to take in the healthcare field. So let's take a look at chemistry through Labster.
Labster's organic chemistry simulations help students master the core concepts in organic chemistry in an interactive, visual, and engaging way. Featuring 3D atomic and molecular visualizations, interactive exercises, and realistic lab experiments, the simulations allow students to take a hands-on approach to their own learning in a unique and risk-free virtual environment. This expanding list of simulations covers the basics of chemical bonding, functional groups, reaction types and mechanisms, organic chemistry reactivity, and many other key topics. It is an ideal fit for lab or lecture-based courses in chemistry and organic chemistry, and can serve as a powerful supplement to students' in-person lab work. Students build their own 3D molecules on the holotable, make mistakes with hazardous solutions in the fume hood with only virtual consequences, and become comfortable using key pieces of equipment. They will learn to draw reaction mechanisms with the correct notation, predict the products of different reactions, perform a bromine test, and connect the 3D molecular structure with their 2D representations. Engaging storylines and scenarios help connect students with the material, making key topics come alive by highlighting their relevance and real-world application. Quiz questions test the students' knowledge, also supporting an inquiry-based and deep learning approach. Students also have access to a full theory section, which provides them with relevant background information whenever needed. In the Media Lab, students can return to view key illustrations, graphs, and data whenever they want. You will have full access to a learning dashboard that provides you with a clear overview of your students' scores and progress. Labster, empowering the next generation of scientists to change the world.
So that's the chemistry lab. Let's take a look at the biology lab.
$1 million lab that teaches them key biological concepts and techniques through a fun, engaging, and highly immersive learning experience. Students perform experiments, learn with the help of theory pages and quiz questions, and experience immersive 3D simulations that visualize life science down to the molecular level. Virtual labs are not limited by the time, space, or cost constraints of a physical lab, so students can try and retry experiments, safely learn from their mistakes, work with cutting-edge lab equipment, and conduct experiments not usually possible in a face-to-face class. Labster's biology-related simulations cover a vast range of topics and techniques ideal for courses in general and introductory biology, microbiology, genetics, high school biology, and more. Simulations cover everything from the basics of lab safety and experimental design to core biological science concepts and advanced lab techniques. Research shows that students learn twice as much when traditional lectures are supplemented by Labster's virtual labs. Simulations are built around engaging storylines and scenarios that help topics come alive for students by highlighting their relevance and real-world application. Gradable quiz questions test the students' knowledge, also supporting an inquiry-based and deep learning approach. Students also have access to a full theory section, which provides them with relevant background information whenever needed. In the Media tab, students can return to view key illustrations, graphs, and data whenever they want. You will have full access to a learning dashboard that provides you with a clear overview of your student scores and progress. Labster, empowering the next generation of scientists to change the world.
Okay, so that brings us to the virtual college campus. You may have attended the speaker series that was held in March of this year, at which I presented the concept of a virtual campus in collaboration with Axon Park. Axon Park is a young upstart company that is specializing in the development of virtual university campuses, and it has designed this immersive university-wide experience for National University. So this is my office. You'll see that it has two cushy sofas, oriental carpeting on the floor, a fireplace, and a whiteboard that works. So I can put my PowerPoint slides here. I have my office hours on the door, and so students can arrange to meet with me at whatever time. They put on their goggles, I put on my goggles, and we are in the metaverse together.
Welcome to the new era of learning, where education transcends physical boundaries. The classroom is now a vast universe, limited only by our imagination and curiosity. With gamification at its core, we transform education into an exciting journey, fueling the pursuit of knowledge through challenge, reward, and progression, launching our capacity to learn to stratospheric heights. We now present to you the National University Virtual Campus, a beacon of our progressive vision. This isn't merely an educational platform, but a destination designed to spark intellectual curiosity through innovative, engaging experiences. National University has always been a pioneer in education, boldly traversing uncharted territories in the realm of learning. This immersive exploration is just our latest stride in pushing educational frontiers. So, we invite you on this journey into the future, and we look forward to seeing you soon in the virtual campus.
So I'm working with Axon Park to take the SVHSM model to the next level. So we're trying to design an immersive environment in which the student would enter at the central hub and have an idea about a healthcare intervention that they want to put in place. But we want it to be realistic. So the student is going to have to take that concept to the tertiary care villa, where they're going to sit down at a conference table with the CEO, the CIO, and other members of the C-suite to pitch this concept, where they will be told whether it is or is not cost effective. They're going to then enter the business management sector, where they're going to meet with accountants and other business execs to talk about the cost effectiveness of their intervention. Then they're going to walk into the health systems engineering, where they're going to talk to informaticists about the electronic health record or the remote monitoring of the patients in their project. They now need to go over to the regulatory and political environment, where they're going to sit down at a table and talk with their elected officials who chair healthcare committees and try to win them over to provide regulations that will support their project. We now want them to understand more than just the health of an individual patient, but also the entire population, that is within the United States and globally. And then we want them to have a deep appreciation for where healthcare is going, as many of these complex situations are going to be managed in the community environment and not in the tertiary care facility. So we've had a lot of news coverage with our initiative here. We've been showcased on CBS, Fox, NBC, and other local news outlets. And in addition, National University has published a couple of press releases that have been picked up by the AP Wire. These are just a few of our publications and presentations. Now, I am obligated to share with you that all of these initiatives are federally funded. And this is a total of $6 million that you're looking at here, for which I served as the PI. But in all the information that I presented to you, the content and the conclusions are really only mine. and should not be construed as the official position or policy of, nor should any endorsements be inferred by HRSA, Health and Human Services, or the United States government. I must also acknowledge several foundations that have awarded us over $100,000 for the purchase of the headsets that you saw. The Los Patrones Foundation, the San Diego Board of Supervisors, the Gunther Foundation, and the French Foundation. In conclusion, our students are coming to us as digital natives. They are expecting these kinds of technologies to be used because many of them are Generation X, Generation Zers, who were first introduced to this technology during their secondary school education. And with that, I will open it up to questions.
Come on, don't be shy.
I have a question for Dr. McNeil. I was curious,
Yeah.
like, what kind of next step opportunities or what types of classes would you think about doing? Because I know some of us were thinking about maybe having some type of like special summit to have maybe people come in and visit and see some of the healthcare connections like we have in San Diego National University. But can you imagine like any kind of like interprofessional class that we could maybe have in some of the programs that might use this type of technology? I'm just curious.
Yeah. And so I see it being used in all of our programs of study, right? All of our science classes, chemistry, biology, etc. there. Can we use it in our healthcare administration class? Absolutely. What about public health? Yeah. So you're only limited by your imagination. What I perceive will be happening soon is that all of your classes will be in your headset, and you will purchase your headset and engage in immersive settings with your instructor and your fellow classmates. And as the technology improves, you'll be able to have more than two people engaged simultaneously. So I see no limitation to what courses could be serviced using this technology.
Okay, well, that sounds great. And then have you seen anything about like Apple's new version of their headset that they have, where it's a little bit more advanced than what Facebook developed because it allows you to have reality mixed with an augmented reality, but you can still have a full headset on. So, that really sounds kind of what you're talking about. It sounds like you'd really be able to combine everything kind of together.
Right. What is limiting us is the cost. So the headsets that I shared with you in the video here are about $500, $550 each. The ones that you're describing are in the $1,000 range, 3,000, etc.
Yeah, 3,500
So
I think
we're
is
not-
less. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I think at some point, I used to teach at a school where everything was embedded in the laptop. This is now going back 20 years. And so the students would lease the laptop, which had all their textbooks, all their lecture notes, everything in it. And that's how they would learn. There was no physical textbook. And there was nothing handed out in the classroom. Everything was embedded in the laptop. I'm envisioning that everything will be embedded in the headsets in the future.
Yeah, no, I could see that. I just thought it was interesting because I really could really combine everything together. You'd have that feel like you are in person, but it's an augmented reality. So it was really quite something to be able to kind of have a little bit of both. I mean, it's kind of conceptualized until you maybe see some of the videos of what they do, or like obviously what you shared in the presentation today. So.
Yeah, nobody knows what you're talking about because it's so new. But I will say that National is among the vanguard of universities that are moving in this direction. Largely the cost, I guess, is what's holding up some other universities. But you have to have forward-thinking instructors, because this is an opportunity for the students to engage in their own learning experience. And the sage on the stage and that kind of thing, that will be, go by the wayside. We're going to have to be innovative, and our students are coming to us having used these technologies, either, a fortnight or, whatever little games they've played. They want to be engaged. They don't want to listen to a lecture and sit passively, absorbing knowledge. They want to be actually doing it.
Definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with that. Questions from anyone in the audience tonight?
I see something in the chat. In this series, you spoke about open to NU students only, or can other students from other schools take the series? Oh, that's very interesting. So I think that the student would have to enroll in a course that offers this series and get, special permission to do so. So I think that could be an opportunity. Other questions?
Christina's question or comment
Yes.
about digital immigrants and digital natives.
Okay, I couldn't hear the question very well. Can you repeat it?
Yeah, I'll say it. Just a comment, Christina's comment. I love that you mentioned digital natives versus digital immigrants like me. I discussed this with my students in the informatics classes to get us started understanding user dynamics. So I think the comment was saying you use the terms digital immigrants and digital natives.
Yeah, imagery transcends the spoken language. And the more engaged I think the students can be, the easier it is for them to embrace the concept. Language, sometimes hinders our ability to get concepts across. And you can see in this kind of environment, you don't always have to use words.
Dr. McNeil, we've got a question from Christina. I love that you mentioned digital natives versus digital immigrants.
Sean, I just commented on that.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No worries, no worries. No worries. Okay, well, it looks like we're at time. And we had 18 participants. That's great.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Go ahead, Dr. Maria. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is recorded. So we'll be able to have the links to everyone for to review. And certainly you can contact me for more collaboration or other concerns, issues, questions. Thank you very much for listening, and have a wonderful holiday.
Thanks, Dr. Mayo. Appreciate everybody for attending tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.